I want my next car to be reliable, efficient, affordable, and convenient. Yeah, believe it or not, there are people out there that actually think that way and consider all of those factors when buying a new vehicle. The SUV that I'm driving here today checks all of those boxes and then some. So much so that it's one of the best-selling vehicles in the United States, with over 350,000 people buying one every year. Pull up to any mall or Costco and I promise you, you'll see at least 10 of these in the parking lot. My name is Omar and this is the 2023 Honda CRV. All right, it's finally here, the new CRV. You know, I was a bit surprised when Honda went and updated the new Civic and the HRV before the CRV because this is their best-selling vehicle. The Civic may be popular, but it's the CRV that reigns supreme when it comes to sales. And of course, that's because we can't live without our SUVs. So much so that Honda has declared 2022 the year of the SUV. They've already updated the HRV and now we have the new CRV, and coming up we'll have a new Pilot. More like the decade of the SUV because everyone out there has to have one even if they don't need one. Just the possibility of needing more utility one day forces them to go buy an SUV. Soon enough, driving out there will be like sitting in a theater with a really tall person behind you because we'll no longer have any sedans. All right, the CRV here is all new for 2023 and Honda says it's bigger and better in every way. It rides on Honda's new global architecture platform like the new Civic and the HRV. It's got an updated exterior design, a new interior that's more spacious, and it's got some modern tech. So has Honda done enough to keep this on the top of the list for SUV shoppers? Let's find out. Let me give you a quick tour of the new CRV. We'll take a look at all the new CRV trims. I'll give you a tour of the updated interior and the exterior. And then I'll give you my opinion on whether or not if you should be a logical car shopper and get yourself a CRV. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe. All right, let's do this. All right, so let's kick it off with the trims and pricing details for 2023 so you have an idea of what you're working with as I go on and point out all the features and options that you get at each level. So for the new model year, Honda has dropped the LX and consolidated the other trims. So now you have the EX as the base model starting at $31,110, followed by the Sport starting at $32,450. Then you have the CRV EXL starting at $35,005 and the top of the line Sport Touring trim starting at $39,845. Now, if you're somebody that needs all-wheel drive, that will cost you an extra $1,500 on top of those prices. However, all-wheel drive is standard on the Sport Touring. The EX and EXL are the two gasoline-only models powered by a 1.5-liter four-cylinder turbo making 190 horsepower, so they're not that quick. Oddly enough, the Sport and the Sport Touring will be hybrid-only models, and they are powered by a 2-liter four-cylinder engine with a 2-motor hybrid system, and they make 204 horsepower. Of course, as a shopper in this segment, fuel economy is probably one of your concerns. And for 2023, the CRV gets the same fuel economy across the board except for the all-wheel drive hybrid. That now gets 37 miles per gallon combined as compared to 38 on the outgoing one. The front-wheel drive Sport Hybrid really stands out here with 43 miles per gallon city and 36 miles per gallon highway. That's pretty solid. All right, now, since this is an SUV, most of you will be concerned with the interior space, rear legroom, cargo capacity, so let's check that out first. But before we get inside, I want to point out one of my favorite things about the CRV. This SUV is one of the few out there where the rear doors open out quite far, almost at a 90-degree angle. And that's very useful for parents putting in a car seat or taking their child in and out. Believe me, I know, it's very useful. So Honda says that it focused on increasing the space and volume inside the new CRV, and you definitely notice that. So hop in the second row of the new CRV and you're working with an extra 0.6 inches of legroom for a total of 41. I'm about 6 foot tall. That's my seating position. As you can see, I've got tons of legroom. This is very spacious. But yeah, in terms of legroom, the new CRV is pretty much on par with the Toyota RAV4, the Kia Sportage, and the Hyundai Tucson. Now the other cool part is that you don't have a giant transmission tunnel in the middle, so the middle passenger should be pretty comfortable as well. Not only that, the rear seats on the new CRV recline by 10.5 degrees, which is actually really far. That's the steepest recline I've seen on any vehicle, to be honest. Let's check out the cargo space. You can use your keys or you can use a button located right here under the Honda logo. And Honda says this is the quietest and the quickest tailgate they've ever made. Really quiet. But yeah, once you get it opened, you'll see that you have more space than the last gen. Behind the second row, you have 36.3 cubic feet, and with the second row down, that opens up to a maximum 76.5 cubic feet, which is the most of any SUV in this segment, including the Toyota RAV4, the Nissan Rogue, Kia Sportage, and the Hyundai Tucson. That said, the only thing I don't like is that you don't have a latch or a toggle to fold down the second row seats, so you'll have to walk around to do that. Now let's check out the front seats where you, as a driver, will be spending most of your time. If you're familiar with the interior of the new Civic and HR-V, then the interior of the new CR-V will be pretty familiar. Honda is going for a simple and clean layout for their new interior design, and I really like it. Quality-wise, there's a solid use of soft touch materials on the dash, on the door panels, basically everything that is within reach or at eye level. You do have some hard plastic in the lower areas, but that's expected in this segment. But yeah, one thing that I noticed that I really liked is that you have a really wide open point of view sitting in the driver's seat. And that's because Honda pushed out the A-pillars on the new CR-V by a little more than 4 degrees, giving you a very spacious feeling here. Now, I was already a big fan of the seats on the outgoing CR-V. In my opinion, it's one of the most comfortable options in the segment. But Honda says they've made the front seats even more comfortable, and you definitely feel that. The EX and Sport trim both get cloth seats, but this time the driver's seat is actually 8-way power adjustable as standard. If you step up to the EXL or Sport Touring and pay more, that's where you'll get black or gray leather depending on which you like more. And those two trims will also add on a power adjustable passenger seat along with memory seats for the driver. Now what's impressive is that every single trim of the new CR-V gets heated seats as standard from the base EX all the way to the Sport Touring. Nonetheless, I am surprised that Honda doesn't offer ventilated front seats on the CR-V or even heated rear seats. Actually, you don't even get a heated steering wheel on the CR-V from the factory, but you can apparently get it installed from the dealership when you buy it. Nonetheless, you do get dual zone climate control on every CR-V for 2023. Really quick, I just noticed that like the HR-V, you don't have a sport mode selectable through the drive mode selector on the gasoline powered CR-V. You have to shift into S and that will activate sport mode. Really, it just hangs on to the revs a little bit longer. Now down here next to the shifter, you have your drive mode selector. The gasoline model only gets Eco, Normal, and a new Snow mode. Now get this, the hybrid model gets a dedicated sport mode that's selectable through this toggle, and I get it, you can't call it a sport or sport touring and not have a sport mode. But yeah, underneath that you have your downhill assist control and your parking brake. Oh, and by the way, all CR-Vs now come standard with a power sliding moonroof. That's pretty dope. But yeah, let's move on to the tech. Just like the Civic and the new HR-V, you have the updated Honda infotainment system that's housed in this touchscreen display. The CR-V EX and Sport models come with a 7-inch screen, while the EXL and the Sport Touring get the bigger 9-inch screen. But all trims get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard. However, they are wired on the EX and Sport with a 7-inch screen and wireless on the EXL and Sport Touring with the 9-inch screen. Which, by the way, I would love to know in the comments if that matters to you, because I always try to not connect wirelessly if that's an option. Now, unlike the Civic and the HR-V, the CR-V here does have a native Honda navigation system, which is a bit surprising to me because I feel like most people will end up using CarPlay and Android Auto. But yeah, while we're here, let's talk driver assist tech. Like all other Honda vehicles, you get almost everything as standard across all trims of the CR-V. They all come standard with the rear view camera. You can't get a 360 view, which I wish you could. I feel like that would have been a good add-on for 2023. But you do have adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist with lane centering, lane departure warning, automatic high beam, traffic sign recognition, all the collision and assist mitigations that you'll need. And unlike some other Honda models, blind spot monitoring is apparently standard on all trims of the CR-V. But surprisingly, you don't have a heads-up display. Next up, just like the HR-V, the new CR-V also gets a digital gauge cluster display, and only the left half of it has some things happening. On the left dial, the real digital part, you can go and circle through a bunch of various information and settings. But yeah, I am kind of surprised that Honda didn't offer the full screen digital gauge cluster display that you have on the Civic Touring. I kind of expected that to make its way in the CR-V, but no. Also, here's something else that's interesting. Sound system wise, only the highest trim of the CR-V, the Sport Touring, gets a 12-speaker Bose sound system. Apparently Bose isn't hooking it up for any other trim, and that may be due to the production limitations that the industry is facing. Alright, let's check out the outside. Honda is going for the bigger is better philosophy when it comes to the new CR-V. In terms of length, it's 2.7 inches longer and sits on a wheelbase that's 1.6 inches longer. Now, in terms of design, it definitely looks more rugged than the outgoing CR-V and is apparently inspired by the Ridgeline and the Passport Trail Sport. Just like every other car in the world these days, the face of the new CR-V is emphasized with a larger grille. You have a giant Honda logo in the middle of the grille that houses the radar sensor. All CRV trims now get LED headlamps as standard and these slim LED turn signals that look pretty cool. The Sport and Sport Touring get an even more aggressive grille. Insert some mesh or honeycomb pattern talk over here. Now from the side, you really see the difference in size of this thing. And like the new HRV, the new CRV gets a significantly longer hood. Another thing that you'll notice is that the side view mirrors are now mounted on the door. And Honda says the adjustments to the A-pillar and the location of the new side view mirrors help increase visibility on the inside. When it comes to the wheel game, all CRV trims get 18-inch wheels with 10 spokes, while the Sport Touring gets 19-inch wheels with 5 spokes. On the back, the CRV keeps its vertical taillights. They are LED taillights as standard now. And if you go for the Sport or Sport Touring, those are the only two trims with rectangular exhaust finishers because, you know, that's what the sport life calls for. That said, I'm really digging the new design here. It looks more sophisticated, more grown up. It's a solid upgrade that won't scare away current fans of the CRV. Let me know what you think about the new design in the comments below. All right, before I give you my opinion on how the new CRV drives, let me point out a few important daily ownership highlights that I'd love to show all of you. You have 4 cup holders, 2 in the front right there, and then you have 2 in the back right there in the center armrest. You also have some bottle holders on the doors, but those are bottle holders, not cup holders. Here are what the keys look like to the CRV. Same old Honda key, nice and compact. Door open and close sound from the outside and from the inside. Solid. Charging game wise, you get a wireless charger on the EXL and Sport Touring. You also have a USB-C port and a USB-A port right there. Charging game wise, rear passengers get nothing, they just get vents. I do believe on the Sport Touring you do have 2 USB-C ports in the back. Let's do an indicator and horn sound test. Indicator first. Now for the horn sound. Oh, come on. This could have been better. So the CRV has always been one of my top picks when it comes to affordable SUVs. Besides all the practical stuff about it, this is one of the most comfortable options in this segment. And it stays that way for 2023. In fact, it's even more comfortable. The new platform with the longer wheelbase makes for an even smoother ride quality. Of course, the updated seats are more comfortable, so that helps, but I also noticed that it's much quieter in here. And that's because you have thicker windows, more insulation, but you also have an active noise cancellation speaker that gets rid of unwanted noise from the cabin. That's pretty cool. But is it any sportier or quicker? The model that I'm driving here is powered by a 1.5-liter 4-cylinder turbo, making 190 horsepower and 179 pound-feet of torque. The Hybrid is the faster one with 204 horsepower, which is why it's only available in the Sport trims. Hybrid and Sport are finally becoming friends. The CRV Hybrid won't go on sale until after the gasoline version, so I won't get to test that until later this year, but this 4-cylinder turbo CRV isn't particularly exciting to drive, and that's okay because vehicles in this segment aren't meant to be super exciting. You're working with a CVT transmission, and going from 0 to 60 will probably take you around 8.5 to 9 seconds. I don't know how much sportier the Hybrid will be. It's got, what, 14 more horses if my math is correct? But let's pop this into Sport and floor it. Let's go, CVT, come on. Yeah. I'm racing a Mustang right now, and he's gone. All right. That was fun. Now, Honda says that they did make some updates to the suspension and the steering to make the CRV a little bit more fun to drive. And you can definitely feel the improvement. It does feel sharper and more nimble like the new Civic and the HRV. Honestly, this is very much like driving a Civic, but only more comfortable. Performance has never really been a thing for vehicles in this segment. The people shopping for these family movers aren't looking for extremely quick acceleration. They're looking to be practical and comfortable, and this new CRV does both of those things really well. This is definitely better than the Toyota RAV4. It's better than the Mazda CX-5, which used to be one of my favorite options in this segment. And the only SUV that might give this some stress is the new Kia Sportage, and that's really it. But I think the CRV won't really have much problem there. But yeah, one thing that you'll definitely notice when you drive the new CRV, that it feels way more spacious inside. Of course, that's due to all the things that we just talked about, but I gotta say, it really makes the experience of driving a CRV much better than the last one. If you're a current CRV owner looking to get a new one, you're going to love the 2023 update. And if you're new to the market of compact SUVs and are looking for the best option, the CRV still holds the crown for me. Either way, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you follow me on Instagram and on TikTok. My handle is @OmarDrives. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care. Peace. Peace out.